This is the Scottish Highlands, with some of the most epic scenery in the world. It's also a mountain bike heaven. We're here for 5 days of big mountain exploration with the Specialized Levo and the new Kenevo SL. And in this video, I'm going to show you why I think that the Scottish Highlands is a place that should be on your bucket list to ride a bike. It's a place full of natural wonders and huge, vast landscapes.
I don't want to overuse the word epic, but it's just magical, isn't it?
So come with us on our journey and see some of the best riding the UK has to offer. As Scotland opened up, we took the long drive from the south of the UK to meet up with local guide Chris to plan our route for the week.
I think when we were putting this itinerary together, it was more about, rather than one particular route, we've all been locked up for so long, it was about trying to get to all the most adventurous places I could think of, as well as when we're chatting some of the big classics, also some of the lesser knowns. Tomorrow is a coastal ride. Although it's a freshwater loch, it's taking us to a secret coastal beach where we're going to spend a lot of time on bikes and boats. And then we're heading over to Skye, but we're not actually riding on Skye. We're going to head over to Raasay, so a much lesser known island with a phenomenal descent on it. That's actually a completely new one. It's new to me as well. We've used a bit of this time to find new locations and new routes. And it's, I guess, probably the spot that I'm most excited about for a while, you know? I've been really spoiled, so it's great to find somewhere new that you're like, oh, I can't wait to go there. We're going to drive up into here, and then we'll ride this loop up into here and round, and then this descent, personally, is my favourite in the country.
Really?
Yeah, it's a phenomenal, tight moves. It's a rider's descent.
Would you go as far as saying the UK?
Does it count south of the border? I don't know. I don't think Forest of Dean can compare.
The first night we stayed close to the iconic Fort William, and early the next day we took the drive to Malig, a small fishing town in the northwest of Scotland. At this time of year the town is usually bustling with tourists, but we're here on the very first week that we're allowed to travel, and there's barely another person in sight. We pretty much had the place to ourselves.
So we're going to do about 20k. We're going to travel southeast, do a nice little kind of first day ride on the bikes, get a rib boat from a little village, little fishing village, all the way back round here later. Some pretty epic scenery. I'm liking the view so far.
As the first boats set sail at the crack of dawn, we started the first ride of the week. Chris had excellent local knowledge, and the route was the perfect warm-up to the days ahead.
So this is Loch Morar, and this is a freshwater loch. And our trail today goes around the edge. It's going to turn into some pretty rustic single track quite quickly.
So we're going to head up here, are we, to the left-hand side and make our way
round up into the right, heading into those mountains we can see in the distance. And the trail just handrails the edge of the loch up and down all the way through until we kind of link over the hills, and we're aiming for a wee bay called Tarbet.
Deepest loch in the UK. Have you ever swum in it?
I have actually, but I'm not that keen today.
Don't blame you. It's not super cold, but it's not swimming weather just yet.
Maybe at the end of the day, we'll see.
We'll see. Cool.
We head into the wilderness of Loch Morar, traversing around the rugged shoreline. I'm riding the Kenevo SL, Chris is on the new Levo, and John, who's filming, is also on the Levo. I had no trouble keeping up, despite it being a lower powered motor on this rocky coastal route.
We're continuing up and over, so you can see that little saddle in the hills there. We're heading up onto that, and we've got a nice sustained descent that takes us right down to the water's edge, and then from there we kick up round to the left, and that's where we start our up and over to make our way to the bay. So it kind of just keeps getting deeper and deeper for now.
We're only hours into the trip, but already I wanted to take some time to soak up the big mountain scenery. We rode small sections at a time and then stopped frequently to take it all in. The Gen 3 Levo was perfect for John. The full power motor helped with the extra weight of all the camera kit he was carrying. And the Kenevo SL was totally at home on this rugged terrain. The 170mm travel and SL motor, the perfect mix of lightweight, nimble handling. And being several kilos lighter, it's much easier to lift. The route had a mixture of single track, small beach sections with cobbled rocks, and some larger features to challenge the bikes and the rider. We rode another 10k of beautiful coastal path. And as the day drew to an end, we were treated to a nice descent down to the tiny fishing bay of Tarbet. And Chris had prepared a little shot of whiskey for us.
This is Jura. All right. Can't come riding without a bit of single malt. Slanjavar.
Cheers, John.
And then he called the boat in.
Three e-bikes on a rib boat.
I can't say I've ever put an e-bike on a tiny boat before, let alone three, but we all managed to squeeze on board and hung on and enjoyed the view. And as we returned into the harbour of Malig, I couldn't help but think of the history of the small fishing town and the stories that these fishermen must be able to tell. As we got back, the sun was setting and we could see the small Inner Hebrides Islands in the distance. What a first day, an incredible experience already.
So from here, catching the ferry up on over to Skye.
Next, our riding location for the day is the Isle of Raasay. To get there, we have to island hop. First to the Isle of Skye, and then we get a ferry over to Raasay. The Isle of Raasay feels so remote. There's only about 170 people that actually live on the island. It's pretty small, only 3 miles east to west and 14 miles north to south. In 2020, it was awarded one of the best islands in the world to visit by a popular travel magazine and is actually used as the filming location for the UK show SAS Are You Tough Enough?
All right.
All right. 1,500 foot of climb. I'm not used to this kind of terrain, so
Yeah.
it's definitely, you've got to look at your lines and really choose them.
This is all about looking ahead, and this is natural, rocky, like you say, rocky trail. And that's kind of the joy of it. And to work with this, you've got to be loose on the bike, looking far ahead and actually ride the rocks.
Yeah.
You know, look at the rocks, ride the trail, and that way it's the most eco-friendly way to ride it. You're not doing any damage. It's also the most fun.
Yeah, I found I really needed to have got my body forward over the rock as well to kind of get your weight over instead of just ploughing straight through.
Definitely a bit of finesse is needed here as well. You've got to kind of work with terrain, body and bike.
Yeah.
And that comes from that looking ahead and working through, and that's where it's like a jigsaw, right?
Totally. So we're going up to this little bad boy up here?
Right up to the summit.
Let's do it.
It's got a really unique summit, a flat peak called Duncan. It's got panoramic 360-degree views from the top, and we can't wait to get there.
Oh, wow.
There it is.
There it is.
And at the top, perhaps one of the most epic views I've ever seen. See, we've all been unable to travel for such a long time, and boy, this was an incredible sight to see. We spent some time at the top to try and take everything in. Not a single soul to be seen, just us and the mountains. We peered over the edge as close as we dared, and then had a bite to eat whilst chatting about how great it was to be able to go on adventures and explore again, before heading back to the bikes to enjoy the descent back to the ocean. These are the type of descents where it's just you versus nature. Sounds of the wind, rocks, and a visual spectacular.
That is a dream.
What do you think of that?
There's a couple of rewards you get. The top, the summit, and the incredible view. But the descent down, it's just so beautiful because it's loose and natural, big chunky rocks and a lot of kind of very small loose rocks. And I was following your lines, and I think you've got a great finesse about kind of getting over the larger stuff. And it's a different technique for sure for riding regular trails, flow stuff. Loose, natural, big, chunky stuff. So big mountain, man. It's good.
Thank you. First time I think anyone's ever said I had finesse about anything.
The bike was sublime, and that's the first descent you've had on that one?
First on this, yeah. It eats it up here.
Yeah.
It's just, that's where it comes into its own. It's a lot of bike, and then you get up to pace, and it just comes alive.
As the day drew to a close, we finished off the bottom section of the island and made our way back to the ocean via some old farm roads, and we grabbed one of the last ferries of the day. In the evening, we drove across to what I've been looking forward to for years. We stayed local, charged our batteries overnight, ready for the final day. The mountains of Torridon. These rugged, ancient mountains are amongst the oldest rocks in Britain, and the sandstone that forms the bulk of the mountains dates back 750 million years. It looks rugged and raw, and I'd go as far as saying it's the most dramatic looking mountain scenery in the British Isles. As we reached the top, the weather changed quickly from sun to hail. We took some shelter to wait for the weather to pass. When we were planning this route, Chris mentioned that there are occasions where the weather up here can change so quickly that visibility can sometimes reduce to just a few meters, and that navigation needs to be done via a compass when the trail can't be seen. Whilst we were waiting, we thought that it would be a good opportunity to get some nice footage of the bikes. The scenery was pretty epic. Luckily, we just needed to hold for about 20 minutes. And then the sky cleared, and we had our window of opportunity to do one of the most amazing descents in the United Kingdom. That descent was stunning.
Yeah.
And I'll remember that forever. Our very last trail in Scotland was on the other side of Torridon. We wanted to see if we could capture the golden sunset, and it was 50-50. The stormy weather had been chasing us all day. But just as we were about halfway up, in what was the most perfect timing, the clouds moved out of the way and the golden sunset was revealed. So time for us to get some more bike shots, and I used a lot of these in the Kenevo review video that I released just a couple of weeks ago. I also took the time to speak to Chris about what it takes to ride up here and what kind of kit he takes out on these big mountain rides.
This is a big 30-litre pack, and it's got all the tools that I'd need to keep our bikes rolling.
Yeah.
You know, it's a small workshop in here, and that's because, like you say, we're remote and we're small mechanical. Losing that time in the mountains can make quite a big impact when you're committing to big routes.
Yeah, it's pretty neatly stashed as well.
Yeah, well, thanks. But that's being systematical about your kit, knowing where stuff is, makes a difference. You know, it means you're faster and smoother when you do need to repair stuff.
Yeah.
And more importantly, when I'm repairing things for other people.
Yeah, which you've done for us.
Once or twice.
So you're organising this, all the most used stuff in this easy
Yeah, so the
thing.
stuff that you want to use or you want fast access to is here and in the side pocket. So my Allen keys are out all the time, so they're just, I don't even need to take the rucksack off. So that's all the tools in there, and spare bolts, things that often break or that over time I've seen break often. And then in the main pouch is big first aid, plenty of layers, big pump and shock pump as well. And then a bit more safety kit in terms of there's a beacon in here as well. If we ever did.
What's the beacon?
So this is a spot beacon. So it will broadcast our coordinates out to get rescue. So if we press that button, it means the Thunderbirds are coming. And
so like a satellite phone, kind of, it's sending a signal if you've got no... Because that's what I've noticed actually. There's been several times, well, most of the rides have no mobile phone signal at all. I mean, it's not surprising we're out in the middle of nowhere.
One of the best things about being here, isn't it, that there is no phone signal, and but that comes with the consequence of also, if you do need to get help, then you need to potentially have a way of doing that.
Yeah. So are you carrying this like on all of your guides, this kind of kit? Because it's
if we're guiding, this is our kit. Yeah,
it's pretty heavy. Fair play for carrying that.
Gets you strong.
Yeah, I bet. I can tell by your calves.
All right, but the most important thing here is as the sun's going down and we're coming towards the end of a pretty stellar few days, is the whiskey.
Oh, mate.
So
check that out.
I think the honour's for you.
Oh, boy.
Sanjivar.
I was cold. That warms you up, doesn't it? Beautiful. Oh, mate. That's superb. I'll hand that back to you.
No worries.
Thanks very much, man. It's been absolutely amazing. With these kind of trips, you never know what you're going to see and what's going to happen, but it's been an absolute pleasure kind of riding with you. And honestly, you are so knowledgeable and so methodical about the riding, but an absolute pleasure to ride with. We're absolutely blown away with the trip and the riding, and you and your hospitality. Genuinely taken all the stress and all the thinking out, and we've just been able to enjoy the riding, your company, the food. And look, this is like the dream out here, isn't it? So it's been absolutely beautiful for us, man. So thank you so much.
This is the Highlands, you know, that's what Highland hospitality is a phrase for a reason.